Glad you watching that.
Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process and a whole lot more associated with college. Um, Bobby Hood is here with me. He is our resident ACT guru. And I am Kristin Clark, and I help students figure out a career path in a college major or another path based on their goals. Bobby, how are you doing today?
Just great. There's crazy rain last night. It was hard to sleep, but now it seems like it's a pretty day again. So,
It is. It's great in Texas.
and so this spring weather gets everybody kind of thinking about summer and thinking about college planning stuff, right? It's getting near the end of the school year and all that. So it's time to
Yes.
think about these things.
And I got to tell you, this question I got on one of my TikTok posts that it kind of made me think a little bit. So I figured, okay, this is a great topic for us to talk about. And it's how do you expose your kiddo to different careers so that they have an idea of what they might want to do?
Absolutely. I mean, you help students work with, figuring out what their strengths are and, what they might be good at, but you still do need to have some idea about careers, right? And I think we just assume that you just naturally, learn these things just by existing in the world, but you don't, right?
Yeah, you for sure don't. And especially kids, because,
Mhm.
when I'm talking to my clients, Bobby, a lot of times they know what mom does, they know what dad does, they know what they see on TV, but
Mhm.
that's all the exposure that they have. And of course, online and all that good stuff. But again, there's just not that much exposure to what is a job really like.
Mhm.
And most of the time, they don't even know what mom and dad do, quite honestly.
Right.
Sometimes they don't even know where they work exactly.
Mhm.
So it's just this thing that's hanging out there that I think slows them down where it's hard for them to come up with a career idea because they're like, well, what in the heck's out there?
Absolutely. And I think that's, I think those of us who have been in different, kinds of careers, like as an attorney, I mean, I know that being an attorney was so much different from what I imagined it would be, right? It's just sitting in a room and staring at papers and talking on the phone a lot, right? Whereas, on TV, it sounds like you're going to be in courtrooms arguing things all the time, which even those who are courtroom attorneys, still aren't in the courtroom that often. And
Yes.
so you really need to know what it is you're going to be doing, and the only way really is to talk to someone who actually does it, right?
That's a great way to do it, Bobby. But I think that we have to even go back a little bit further
Mhm.
because to me, when kids are exploring what do they want to do, it's hard for them to make the leap from, hey, I'm interested in this. And what does
Mhm.
that mean for a job?
All
So
right. So I like this thing, but what are the careers that are associated with it? Yeah.
yes. And here's where I think people get just kind of hung up. There's things like you don't have to be a great singer to be in the
Mhm.
music industry. There's so much
Right.
surrounding that. I mean, heck, if you loved music, you could go in as an accountant and work for a music industry. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be this straight path. And I think people think that there are X careers out there and you have to have this body that fits into that career. And Bobby, I don't think that's really that true anymore. I think that,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you can kind of craft what you're interested in and then go, okay, how can I fit into that world?
Okay, this is really interesting, and it's absolutely true. I mean, like there's so many little secret things like that that people don't realize. Like, for instance, people who are agents for, sports athletes and for musicians and actors, they're all attorneys,
Mhm.
right? So, like, I mean, I know a person who went to law school at the same time I did who went and became a sports agent, and like, oh, well, that's
Yeah,
not
that's
what you think of, and they don't have a class for that in law school, right? So, it's like, oh, okay. So there are all
well,
these things that you can do, and so it is right. Just what you're interested in is not the same thing as profession, and yeah,
yeah.
that's very
We knew
interesting.
a lady on vacation that her sole job is to figure out the colors for the equipment and jerseys for the NFL.
Oh wow,
I shouldn't say that, not for the NFL, for Nike.
yeah,
So
sure. Oh
you
okay,
look at that and you go, for all those parents out there going, my kid, I don't want them to have an art degree. Well, look
right.
at what she did with that. She's
Hmm.
now formulating colors for Nike. How cool is that?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, the sitting at home and painting paintings is not the only thing you can do with an art.
Mhm. It's not the only thing.
And so that might be the thing is, so, we always talk about step one is just starting conversations and talking instead of telling students, oh, you're going to be a doctor, right? Instead, what are you interested in? And then from that, right, that's when you can start saying, okay, you like video games, you like being outdoors, you like whatever. Okay, now let's think about all the millions of different things you could do, right?
Okay, yes. And I think that's the first step so that they have something in their head to go, yeah, if I could do something with that, man, that would be really fun for me, right? Just start with the basics because I'll tell you, Bobby, I think too, we try to fast forward to the end and it's like, you can't fast forward to the end on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do, you'll end up changing careers, changing majors, and then you end up spending more years in college than you intended to, that whole thing.
Well, and getting confused, you're like, well, how do you get from A to B to C to D to F to G? And we're going right from A to Z. And it's like, no. You gotta follow the process. And it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's easy and it's not fast for most.
Right.
So unfortunately, there's no easy button here.
Sure.
Right. So think of your interests first. And then we have a friend out there that's so awesome that helps everybody. I can probably say everybody very confidently. And that's Google.
Right.
And you can put into Google anything, and guess what? It gives you an answer. So I would say that's another place for parents to send kids and go, I don't know, what can you do if you like horny frogs? I don't know, whatever the thing is, and just start looking and exploring and getting curious.
Absolutely. And I think this is probably a topic we should address sometime soon but with the rise of Chat GPT, you can ask Chat GPT all sorts of questions and it can answer all these very strange things. Like I was singing a karaoke song, like I was out doing karaoke with some friends and I sang a song. I was like, oh, that song was easy to sing. And so I typed into Chat GPT, like, okay, if I enjoyed singing this song, what are, other songs I ought to sing? And then it like went into all this detail and said, well, that means your vocal range is this. And that means these songs are similar and have a similar vocal range. And it went into all this stuff. And you could absolutely, and I think, kids probably are playing around with Chat GPT right now, but you could absolutely go in there and say, hey, if I'm interested in being outdoors and I like being, working alone some of the time and I really enjoy, golf, it's like that story you've told where somebody says, oh, you could be a landscape architect for golf courses, right? That's the kind of thing that it could absolutely come up with. And I think, this is one of those things where the next generation they're immediately jumping on this and seeing all the things you can do with things like this, right?
Why
not
that,
go ask questions like that?
I've got to do a TikTok on that today, and I'm going to add that because that's obviously a great place that, is brand new to everybody that they can go and explore. Yeah,
absolutely. It's just, it comes up with things you would not have expected. And, and obviously it's also wrong sometimes, but these are good kinds of questions to ask because it's just give me ideas, right?
And that's the big thing. It's like, let's explore, let's have ideas, let's go down some of the wrong paths. I don't know about you, but anytime I go to a new place and I accidentally take a wrong turn, I find things,
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's a great way to travel. Intentionally take wrong turns, right?
Yes. Don't be afraid to fail.
Well, and I think that's part of the thing too, is if you start with, I want to be a doctor, then if you go to college and then pre-med turns out to be too hard, then you're just stuck, right? But if you start with, I want to help people and make a difference in people's lives, then there are all these hundreds and hundreds of careers, and doctor's one of them, right? But social worker is one of them, and
coaching,
physician's assistant, and being a coach,
teachers,
right?
Yes,
absolutely, and all these different things, right? And those are all right, and yeah, just like you said before, like there are ways to work in the health system without being a doctor, right? And it's thinking about those things and saying, okay, which thing would actually make me happy?
I love it. Yeah. I love it. You've got my mind churning on how I can even help my students with using that. Yeah. So the other thing I would say is don't discount your community and school programs. And, because they do have real people that are coming in that you can have a face-to-face with and ask them the questions that are meaningful about
Mhm.
what they do for a career. And I think this is a key thing too for parents to help their kiddos with. Don't ask them, how long do I have to be in school to be a da 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 da. You can find
Right.
that out on Google. Figure
Sure.
it out there. Ask them questions, Bobby, that are meaningful in your life. It's like, okay, if I'm in a career, I use Pilot a lot,
Mhm.
that you don't have a normal work schedule. How often are you home for Christmas?
Yeah.
Um, how do you balance life when you're gone for 3 days at a time and then home for X amount of time? What do you
Right.
do with that extra time? It's asking those questions that'll help give you a glimpse of what your life's going to be like, as well as what's the career really like.
Mhm.
What's it like sitting in a cockpit for 8 hours? Is that like,
Yeah.
what's, I'm a little claustrophobic. Am I going to be claustrophobic?
Right. I mean, there's a particular personality type that really fits well with that. And those are the things that you can start investigating is, I mean, they're like, I would hate that. That would be the worst thing in the world to me. And yet there are people who apparently love that. Right. And
Mhm.
so they are different people from me. I don't understand them. Right. And that's what makes the world go round. Right. So, but
Absolutely. Yes. And there's another thing I will tell you, Bobby. I hear this a lot. Well, somebody told me that's hard or that I'm not
right.
going to like that. It's like, why do they not like it? And that may not be an issue for you, right?
Absolutely. Things that are hard for one person are not hard for other people. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what we're really leading into is the last point, and that is just get your kid curious.
Mhm.
But I think you have to show them how to do this.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah.
like I'm thinking, hey, you're at a party, a backyard barbecue with your kiddo, with the neighbors, and you're talking to your friend, and you go, you know what? We've never really talked about what it's like to work with rocks.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're working with rocks? I happen to have a friend
Mhm.
that's an engineer, and he was, that's what he did is they worked with rocks to get chemicals out of them. And it's like,
Right.
tell me about that,
Yeah.
and I think you have to show them how to ask these questions so that they feel comfortable going to the next person and getting curious and asking and asking and asking. And
Mhm.
that's what this is about, Bobby. I go back to this isn't easy. It's not a simple process, but it is,
Well,
it's
yeah, and it is funny because, yeah, when you're in high school, things like going to a career fair or asking questions like this might seem boring, but, you know, you don't realize when you're 15 or 16 that when you're 35, those kinds of things are actually very interesting conversations that you want to know about for a lot of people. It's funny.
well, and Bobby, I'm going to go to, okay, I was in the home security industry for years.
Mm,
What a snooze fest type,
yep. Sure.
product. But I loved it, and I was once you get into the bits and bytes, you're like,
Hmm.
"Ooh, how can I improve that? How can I change that?"
Hmm.
It became very interesting.
Oh yeah, well, it can turn
Yeah.
into like yeah, that's one of those things where now you're helping people and you're doing interior design stuff or whatever, and little complicated nitpicky things, and yeah, and if you love attention to detail and making things pretty but useful, right? That could be amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you didn't catch that it was home security, not home
right.
design, but
No,
but
well,
I
no,
get
but I
it.
mean,
I
if you're,
I knew where
well,
you
I
were
mean, if
going.
you're gonna put all these cameras and stuff all over a house and security systems, you got to make the windows still. You don't want big obtrusive things, right?
Oh,
So you could like
I
say,
didn't
hey, let's do
yeah.
it this way, and your house won't look like super full of cameras or whatever. I don't know.
No, thank you for taking me down that path because I didn't even go there, but I did those things.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that can just be interesting. So every like for you, probably when you were doing that, even though the job itself probably not that exciting, but it's like a little puzzle to solve every day. And you enjoyed solving it, right? And
Absolutely.
that's the key is like the job isn't the thing. It's what do you get excited about? And like and because I mean, like for some people, I'm sure being an attorney is like solving little puzzles every day or something, and they like that. And I did not like that, right? And so,
Yes.
it's all just personality. But you don't know it until you start talking about it and getting curious about it. And that's it. And this always comes back to just having the conversations, right? Right now, it's just start like the one thing that I think is always our message is it's if you've got a kid in sophomore, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior in high school, just start having conversations instead of telling them where they're going to go, instead of trying to i- inhabit or instill your own desires into them, right? go and see what theirs are. You know,
Yes. Yeah. All
it's
right.
always
Well, Bobby, love this topic. I think it was really fun and cool. And, for anybody that was listening, please, ask us any questions on Facebook, on YouTube. We would love to answer those for you. And everybody have a great week.
absolutely.